dangerously close to the coffee break, so I'll keep it short and sweet. But my name is Wesley Essig from the University of Bath, and we are involved with the STEPMAN project among other partners. And the achievement for the STEPMAN project is to develop a integrated PLM solution using STEP and STEP-NC standards, and with the aim of increasing the competitiveness of SMEs. Now, if we look at the graphic of the interoperability, where the STEPMAN project lies is between the CAM systems and the CNC systems, so that we can design parts which can be used on any CAM system, which will then also be used on any CNC controller. So we can go between CNC controllers and we can go between CAM systems. Now the way we do this is using machine capability profiles and cutting tool dictionaries, along with G-code interpreters and translators, which can translate these codes into STEP-NC and STEP, which can then be used again by retranslating to different controllers and used on the other machines. Now, basically what this will allow us to do is to allow SMEs to use this new standard without actually having to have any hardware. This is all software based, so the SMEs don't need to invest in any new hardware. And yeah, I'll keep it short because otherwise we'll run into coffee. So if there's any other questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.
Okay, we are now at the end of the discussion as a project presentation. You know that in FOF Nation we are also dealing with the STEP-NC development. Mainly we are producing a STEP-NC controller, compliant controller. So I would go to the discussion part. Some of you have seen it already because we presented it as impact. So I would ask you to join your desk now. You too, Jean-Bernard and Eric, because I think you could support me to comment all these things. He is proposed by our partners about the technical cross-cutting. But I would, because the time is going very fast, I would show you some expectation from us. Let's go back a little bit about general consideration. Today, we are working more than reactive technology and somehow some adaptive technology. And we think that in the future, and near future, at least within Horizon 2020, we should be able to define this model of predictive company. So this slide, once again, is coming from Intel. So Intel do not have the right process, so I just present it. So you can see the difficult things today. If we have some kind of adaptive and predictive model, that means you should have the whole information about the part you want to produce and also the means you use to produce this part. Okay, so if I go back to the cross-cutting issue, I think it's very important for us to answer this question: where our project is positioned, at which level, what do we address? I sent this slide to some of our partners in session B, but unfortunately I did not get all the answer because it's not easy to people we had to discuss together. So this is my proposal, not only for our session but to the other session, where we are, what we aim to do. Should we do to microprocess planning optimization? That means at the real-time level, and as you know, this real-time level, many years ago, machine tool builder did it already, but they did it in a very local optimization. For example, you know the people who deal with 5-axis milling, they have some kind of what they call a TCP, not TCP/IP, but tool control positioning for 5-axis machine milling. Or they can have also, they predict 2 steps or 3 steps further because they read the ISO file and they can treat the 3 steps further in order to optimize, to interpolate again. But for me, this is old-fashioned to do progress. Today, if we have the whole geometry description, we can predict, we can know, we can also define the formalism, the algorithm to interpolate the part. That's why I said that maybe tomorrow we can predict that we will no longer the external CAM system, but the CAM system could be completely embedded into the controller in order to, in real time, adapt the position, the behavior of the machine. So this, to explain, for example, DMAT, they have answered to me. I think this information is quite interesting for us to position our project, our defined project, and to discuss together. So here also for the different session, as you know, as you have seen, most of the projects presented today address more or less at least 2 topics presented by the session. So it's important for us also to know in which topics we are to aim to address and how we do it. For example, about the sustainability issue, CAP is addressing somehow the sustainability issue. And you have another project here, Enablant, is addressing also sustainability issue. We are addressing at both projects, even in foundation, the monitoring of the factory floor. But the process, the PPI, maybe are not the same. So I think it's, before talking about standardization, we have to harmonize between the different projects to define the semantics of the word. When we say PPI for energy consuming, what are these PPI? I don't know if you agree with me.
Yes, completely. So, for that, we also try to
You can have the mic open. No?
So in the CAP project, we already have a work package where we define a methodology for PPIs, how to get PPIs, and make it also context-based. So I think tomorrow on the standardization workshop, we can go deeper to discuss this issue. The question of the wordings what we use is very interesting because we have ICT guys and manufacturers and the electrical engineers. And so if we talk about process, for a manufacturer, it's a lot of different meanings. It could be a management process or it could be a process on a machine. So I think we need really defined wordings, and it can be defined from with the PPIs or control the PPIs.
I would like to take the opportunity to make own comments because I really appreciated this presentation. I think it's a very interesting one. I just want to come back here. I like to structure things and put boxes. What I can see from this presentation are different kind of services, concepts like manufacturing PM, like future manufacturing execution system or improved manufacturing execution system. I can see smart manufacturing systems themselves. We can behind that after ontologies and things like that. It's very interesting. Then I have now a small problem with this presentation. It's because most of the answers we have today are let's say high-level manager concepts. So you know, make or buy a part better, produce cleaner, leaner, manage smarter. I think, and we already know that, we need also to add something related to the end user. How can I improve the life of the worker in the end? Because it's also part of the game. It's not only our major or performance objective, but it's also addressing the human factor at the lower level. So I want to be sure that we do not forget to take that aspect, because most of the things we are doing is also to help. It's good to make a manufacturing PLM, but if in the end my end user is lost with these complicated concepts, and if we implement ontologies, it's not to make the life of the guy complicated, but it's how we can use and get the maximum benefit without understanding that behind the solution are very complicated concepts. So please, Vanka, you have to think about it. Add the kind of how to make the life of the end user easier. But just a point. After saying all these things, because this was the risk, discussing more on the global targets. But there is this presentation is extremely interesting with this quick overview on the very, very smart concepts. Just my small comment.
Some feedback from the audience? Yes?
Very good comment only. The role of the user has been addressed already in the first session A. It's also there in the session B, different perspectives. On the one hand, you want to capture the knowledge of the user, you want to empower the user. And here, the user may have a new role depending on the intelligence of the machine. So if you have elements of a CRX or CRM tool incorporated in the machine, you also need different expertise, different education level at the machine level. So the role of the user or the worker at the machine level changes completely. And I think we should note that is a cost-cutting issue as well.
You know, some years ago, at the machine tool vendors, when you talk to the manager of machine tool vendors, you say to them that the future you will have a PC in place of the controller. Nobody believed you. And they, at that time, when I said it to the manager, they told me that you are crazy because the worker are not able to play with the keyboard because of too many touches, it's so complicated. This is the reality 20 years ago. And today, when you look at the machine tool, all machine tools now have the Windows interface. So when you say make the life of workers easier, it's not only about technology, it's also about training. So I think this is
Try to use your PC with big blocks and you will have a lot of fun.
yes. And today many people who do not have engineering background, they can play a lot with computer, with laptop, with iPad, whatever you want, very easily. So the culture is changing very fast.
One question is more open, maybe. So if we talk about interfaces, human-machine interfaces, and look at the history, I mean, the keyboard is about 200 years old, and the mouse was one evolutionary step. So not just follow 1D information, you can also jump it with your mouse. And the next steps is these touch screens, maybe eye tracking systems. Do you think, or what could be the next steps on this way? What do you think is necessary to integrate, which for the smarter systems? Do you have any ideas on that, or vision ideas?
Voice recognition.
I'm sorry?
Voice recognition.
Voice recognition. So it makes it faster. You don't use your hands.
For the start. We do have noise, for instance, we are involved in a project where the operator gives voice guidelines to the robots. So
with a very different topic, and we can hear it. There's a lot of projects which were discussed today, quite large number of projects, different topics. There's some overlaps in different levels, in application level, information level, tools level, and so on. So I would say, or what I would like to suggest perhaps, utilizing this opportunity which we have here, to see what complementarity exists, let's say what synergies can be developed, and how can potential end-users collaboration in such a way that we do not necessarily do the same or similar things. We have another topic about the integrations, and I'm sure that there is more tools which can be used, especially case data. So I don't know what from Rob and from Rainer was the mechanism is the best, but if we have some mechanism which allow us to really utilize this knowledge or let's say the result which are existing here in terms of identifying comparative synergies, which will allow us to do the better work, let's say, in the future for all of us. That's one thing. And second thing, I don't know if Commission was defining that, but there is some project was saying that they not publish. So is it a bigger issue here, identifying the pre-competitive technology which is developed in the project, or the technology is already competitive level developed? Therefore, actually, there can be competition between the companies. But then, from if this is the case, then they cannot necessarily share with each other, which are missing some points here. So right now, the definition of pre-competitive technology, for example, FP7 Horizon 2020 can help. This perhaps is also an issue, as a separate issue. So I'm just bringing these two topics. I don't know if there's any comments.
It's at least it's. I just want to reinforce that point. I'm Airbus, so let's come back to my final customer on that. I can see very interesting concepts in all this presentation. I now have difficulty to understand how all these things will fit together. And what is not clearly visible here is the level of maturity. Because we all have dreams of nice vision where everything is smart, but the reality is, unfortunately, we made progress, so we reach one intermediate step, including step FP, but okay, dissemination, as you understand, for my company is not a paper published in a university and where very smart people are reading and understanding what it is. So integration, dissemination, understanding what we can use now, what is to be prepared for the future, what is the basis for the next roadmap, what is the basis of what we could deploy now, including things that are maybe with some IP and we have to pay for that. Too bad, but okay, let's take a look to that, what is available out of the box from all these things. And having an integrated view is, of course, one of the things we need to discuss together. At least see what is feasible next year with what we have. What is the level of success we can reach? Being very pragmatic and not only a dreamer. That's life guarantee.
Same here to reach for the microphone. The job of EFRA, I thought, is to sort of take a lot of the input that we've got now from these projects and map them, because there's no point competing against these technologies. They very much complement each other. So the idea then is if you're approaching industry, which is the whole point, is industry is looking for answers. It's not looking for more research, it's not looking for more problems, it's looking for answers. There's a lot of answers, and I know I won't flip back too far. We were looking at some of these points here. The idea was to look at how we can sort of brainstorm and get results. As I said, that those are some of the proposals that we actually did put forward. Things about communications, best practices, about peers. We're here as a group, we're here as equals. What we want to do is expand the whole knowledge base. But like I said, let's use a vehicle. Like I said, whether it's political or not, ICF is that vehicle.
I really want to touch base on 2 points. The first point was mentioned by Jean-Bernard at the end. If you see commonalities between projects, common interest, or whether you see, they made some progress that ought to be useful for your project or in a different context. You see that's a topic for the future. I think the first thing, trying to join forces, try to get a common opinion, a common feedback and provide it to EFRA or provide it to us, which helps us to shape the roadmap, because roadmap is a huge framework. But if you as a group work out greater details and give a timeline, give priority to some topics, and define it in greater detail and show, you know, this is important in this context and this is important in that context, and that is have higher priority than the other, is already a very valuable feedback to provide guidance for the future, to help the Commission as well as EFTA to design the work programs. Then the second issue is on communication. Of course, we want to see communication on the projects, but what's very important is if you make a major step in your project, try to communicate that not only in scientific journals, but also look at the broader audience, like press release, and tell also to the higher level people in your company or on the political level what has been achieved and that you're happy with your results and what you expect from the future. So don't stay within your project, try to be more open, and you may also join forces if you go to high events like CeBIT, and you have a kind of press release over there to receive greater visibility.
Can I add to this? Because I feel there are some questions which not yet have been answered. There was this IPR issue, and yes, from you. You run into these difficulties when you go nearer to the innovation process. And let's remind everybody here, we particularly took this event to publish our I4MS initiative in the wider public with a quote from the Commissioner to get the right political backing for this kind of initiatives. The outcome of these kind of initiatives is obviously best practice. And I think let's be pragmatic there. If the companies feel that they don't want at this moment because it gives them a competitive advantage, then it must be more general what one communicates. If the companies feel that really the flesh has to be shown, then let's show that. To my experience, yeah, it is. Yeah, Rolf knows this. Yeah, I disregard almost every deadline by saying many people have been fired because they've delivered shit, but nobody has ever been fired for delivering late. So this is also the same thing here with best practices. You can never anybody has really accused us on the IPR front. It's an issue which is immediately brought by non-engineers into the debate, and then you get a lot of excitement about the contract and all those things, but it actually never materializes. So therefore one can be quite bold. So this is the IPR issue. And there is a second issue behind all of that, and that is how to organize these common things. Now this is work, this costs a lot of effort, and it is also quite, it takes the best brains to abstract from the individual inputs which we have seen here today, and it costs. Now we have a whole set of coordinating and support actions which should take this up and provide also the electronic portals to disseminate that kind of information. So we should do it through that. Because at the Commission, yes, we get all that information, but we wouldn't do much with it because we have no fundamental interest, apart from what Rolf says, to make it public and to make clear what comes out of this project is useful. Thank you.